Hey there, welcome to your practice. For today, it's all about just moving your body, getting some blood flow going. So, no props are needed for this one, but if you do like blocks or a blanket in your practice, feel free to grab those. But for today, it's just all about full body movement, just moving around, especially if you've been sitting at a desk all day, be driving in a car all day, you just feel like you need to get up and move around. This is a good one to do. So we're going to get started in a tabletop position. And so just coming to a tabletop position here, finding your wrists under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. And so start to move around here in any way that feels good. So maybe swaying side to side in the hips, maybe making some figure 8 movement through the body. So kind of moving your body like a snake, moving the weight up into the wrist, and then coming back into the heels, making that figure 8 movement. Maybe perhaps you'd like to go into a few cat cows. So just finding whatever movement here works best in your body. But just keep moving, finding any areas that you might be finding some tension even. So into the hips, you might find you're focusing more into the hips, perhaps into the hamstrings, maybe even in the wrist. So keep moving. We'll do this a few more times. And then finally, we're going to find some stillness in a tabletop position. So finding some stillness, start to extend your spine, coming to a cow pose. So the belly might just naturally start to lower. And then on your exhale, start to come to a child's pose, sinking back into the heels, extending the arms long in front of you, coming back to a child's pose. And so we're going to take this nice and slow at first. So on an inhale, we're going to come up into a cow pose. And then exhale, come to a child's pose. So we'll do that one more time. Let's take an inhale, lengthen the spine, come to a cow pose. And then exhale, sink back, find your child's pose. And then let's take an inhale, come up to a tabletop position. Step the right foot out by the right side body. So both of my hands are planted down on the mat. Right leg is extended out to the side. Start to root down through the left hand. Take an inhale, reach up through the right arm. And so from here, maybe you keep that right arm extended, or perhaps finding a little bind and wrapping it behind your back. And I find it easier to look down at my left hand, noticing it rooted down to the mat, keeping the fingers spread wide there. And feel free to play with that right arm, maybe coming back to extending it to the sky, finding your bind. So just making these movements, whatever works best for your body here, but feel free to explore as well. So come back to the arm extended towards the sky, looking down at the left hand. Take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, set that right hand down towards the mat. Sweep that right knee back in. Start to extend the left leg out to the left side. So again, both of my hands are planted down on the mat. My left leg is extended out to the left side. And then starting to root down to that right hand. Take an inhale, reach up to the left arm. And again, maybe finding your gaze down at the right hand. And then perhaps just checking in with the left arm. Maybe you want to come to that bind, wrapping the left arm behind the back. Keeping that extension, reaching up through the fingertips to the sky. And then see if you can just come to a slow, steady breath here. Maybe start to inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose. And then if your arm is in the bind, bring your arm back towards reaching to the sky. And on your next exhale, bring the left hand back down towards the mat. Sweep in that left knee. Let's take an inhale here to tuck the toes, and then we're going to exhale, lift the knees, lift the hips, come to downward facing dog. And you might need to readjust the feet perhaps, bringing the feet to about hips distance apart. And here in my downward dog, I like to place a pretty good bend in the knees at first. So especially if your hamstrings are pretty tight, bend those knees, get that length in the spine. Have the fingers spread wide here to help with stability. And so start to notice here, maybe if the heels touch the mat or maybe they don't. And if they don't, that's totally fine. Maybe we'll invite in a little bit of a calf stretch here. So if you're moving around in your downward dog, come to some stillness. Let's take an inhale to rise up on the toes. And then as we exhale, sink the heels down towards the mat. Feel that stretch along the calf, down to the Achilles tendon. Let's do that again. Take an inhale, rise up on the toes. And then exhale, sink the heels down towards the mat. Let's take an inhale, reach up through the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Step forward to an easy forward fold. So here we're going to have a generous bend in the knees. Feeling into this forward fold here. Allow the head to drop and be heavy. The arms can just sort of dangle and be heavy. And release any low tension or any tension from the low back. And whenever you're ready, let's take an inhale to a halfway lift, placing the hands anywhere along the legs where you can feel like you can get some length and space in the spine. So whether that be placing your hands all the way down towards your ankles, clear up to the tops of your thighs, feel that length from the tailbone all the way to the crown of the head. And so try not to have the body or the spine going rigid, but just imagine that flat back here. And then on your next exhale, we're going to forward fold, bend the knees. Let's take an inhale, reach all the way up, extend and mountain, get nice and tall. And then exhale, bend the knees. We're going to come to a chair pose. So sinking the hips here, bending the knees. Feel free to bring your hands to heart center here, or maybe having a bind again and interlacing the fingers, bringing the arms behind you. Feel free to explore there, but start to bring some awareness into your feet and how you're standing, how your weight is distributed. See if you can send the weight into the heels a little bit more. Noticing the feet nice and stable, rooted down to earth. Let's take an inhale, start to straighten the legs, reach for the sky, get nice and long. And then exhale, bend your knees, forward fold. Let's take an inhale here for a halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, plant the hands, step back to your plank position. Feel free to take a modified plank here with the knees lowered, or taking an exhale, elbows in close to the ribs, slowly lower on down to the mat. Let's take an inhale to find a baby cobra, just lifting the head and the chest off the mat. And then exhale, release down towards the mat. Take an inhale, come up to tabletop. And then exhale, downward facing dog. So here in our downward facing dog, again, feel free to make some movement, maybe pedaling out the feet, alternating the weight into the heels. Fingers are spread wide. And just sort of using the fingertips to grip down to the mat. We'll come to some stillness here in our downward dog. Lengthen the spine. Let's take an inhale, rise up on the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Step just the right foot forward. Lower that left knee, top of the left foot. Let's take an inhale here, reach up through the arms. So low lunge here, arms can be raised up overhead or maybe hands to heart center. Feel free to lengthen that left leg as much as you would like to. sinking the pelvis down. And then if your hands are not to hands to heart center, go ahead and bring hands to heart center. Let's take an inhale, reach up. And then exhale, release the hands down to the mat. Tuck that back toe under, lift the back knee, step forward, easy forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, extended mountain. And exhale to your chair pose. Let's take an inhale here, straighten the legs, straighten the arms, reach up. And exhale, forward fold. Let's take an inhale to plant the hands, step back to your plank. Take that modified plank or using your exhale, lowering all the way down. Taking an inhale for a cobra pose. So feel free to keep a baby cobra, a little bit of a back bend here. We're coming up a little bit more for a cobra pose. And then on your next exhale, slowly lowering down. Inhale, push with the hands, come up to tabletop. And then exhale, come to downward facing dog. So here in our downward facing dog, let's take an inhale to come up onto the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Step just the right foot forward. So we're going to come up to a warrior one. Take an inhale, come up to a warrior one here. So my right foot is planted down to earth, bend in that right knee. My back foot is planted as well, and my back toes are pointed towards the upper left part of my mat. Hip bones are pointed towards the front of the room. Nice long spine here. So go ahead and take another inhale, get nice and long to the spine. And then exhale, start to bend the elbows, find cactus arms here in your warrior one. Opening the chest, feeling into that heart space. You might be gently feeling a stretch along the chest and the pecs. Feel into any sensations that might be coming up into the body. Let's take an inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And then exhale, open up to a warrior two. So my back is going to be turned to you, but feel free to make any adjustments here in your warrior two. So that right knee can come past the right ankle bone, keeping the arms nice and activated and long here, but we want to try not to have the elbows go rigid or stiff, so keep a nice soft elbows there. And then bringing your awareness to the right hand, go ahead and flip the palm over. Take an inhale, reach forward, reverse your warrior. So the right arm can go up and the left arm can slide down that left leg. Or feel free to bring the left hand to the sacrum area and just kind of supporting that area there. You can feel a nice stretch along the right side of the body. So just breathing into the space here. Let's take an inhale here. And then as you exhale, coming back to a warrior two. So slowly coming back to your warrior two. And keeping your right arm right where it's at. We're going to windmill this left arm down and up. Spin the back foot, coming up to a warrior one again. So coming back to your warrior one, nice strong warrior one here. Feel the feet rooted down to the mat. Taking an inhale, reach up. And then exhale, bring your arms behind you, interlace the fingers, start to reach down and sort of just drawing the hands down towards the sit bones, past the hips, keeping the chest nice and open, hip points pointed towards the front of the room. We're going to take an inhale here, and then as we exhale, start to tip forward, coming to a humble warrior, so that right shoulder to the right knee, and then slowly, maybe using the right thigh as a little bit of a shelf there. So feel free to come forward as much or as little as you would like, finding your range of motion and just working what's best for your body here. Take another inhale. And as you exhale, start to release the hands. Plant that left hand down towards the mat. Extend the left leg a little bit longer. High runner's lunge. Take an inhale, reach up through that right arm. So we're in this high runner's lunge, sort of a revolved twist. And so I like to look down at my left hand that's planted, maybe the right foot that's planted. And then again, feel free to keep that right arm extended or maybe finding a little bind. Whatever is feeling best in your body today. And so on your next exhale, we're going to plant that right hand on the mat. Step the right foot back. We're going to come to a downward dog. So feel free to play with your hand and feet placement again, coming to your downward dog. Bend in the knees if you need to feel that length. Let's take an inhale to rise up on the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Step forward to an easy forward fold. So easy forward fold here. Check in with the hamstrings, the back of the thighs, and down the legs. Maybe you need to give the legs a little squeeze, a little massage there. Maybe even feel free to pat down the legs. Wake up the legs there, invite in some blood flow. And then whenever you're ready, let's inhale to a halfway lift. So we're going to pause here in our halfway lift. So again, feel free to explore with placing the hands anywhere along the legs. Find that length in the spine. And so sometimes I like to imagine somebody having a string at the crown of the head. And so your gaze is looking down at your mat. Imagine somebody pulling that string from the crown of the head away from your body. And so you just sort of want to feel that length in the spine. Invite in some space in the spine as well. Come back to some conscious breaths. Inhaling through the nose and exhaling through the nose. And then on your next exhale, start to forward fold and bend the knees. Let's plant the hands, step back to your plank position. And then taking an exhale, starting to lower all the way down to the mat. Let's take an inhale to find our back bend here. So cobra pose, coming up to any degree that works best for your body. I'm not forcing anything here, just finding your range of motion today. And then on your next exhale, we're going to slowly lower on down. Inhale, come up to tabletop. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take an inhale, rise up on the toes. Exhale, bend the knees. Step just the left foot forward. Lower the right knee, top of the right foot. And let's take an inhale, raise the arms up overhead. So low lunge here. Feeling into the hip flexors. Allow the pelvis to just sort of drop a little bit. Let gravity do its job here. See if you can release any tension through the hips. Noticing the left foot rooted down to the mat. And so if the arms are becoming a little bit fussy today, maybe you start to just bring hands to heart center. And so really focusing your concentration on your breath. Keeping that slow, steady breath. And see what sensations come up here. And let's take an inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And then exhale, bend the elbows, cactus arms, opening the chest. And noticing that gentle pull across the chest, that gentle stretch for the pecs. Let's take an inhale, reach the arms up overhead. Exhale, release the hands to the mat. Tuck that back toe under, lift the back knee, step forward to an easy forward fold. We're going to inhale to a halfway lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, extended mountain, get nice and tall. And then exhale, finding your chair pose. Sink the hips down. Sending the weight into the heels. Coming back to your breath. Let's take an inhale, straighten the legs, straighten the arms, and then exhale, forward fold. Let's take an inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up, extended mountain. And exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Take a moment there. Start to shift the weight into that left foot. Pick up the right foot, step it back. We're going to find warrior one on this side. So again, just checking in with your foundation here. Maybe your hands are still to heart center, perhaps maybe to the hips as you just start to settle into your warrior one, finding your foundation. Sometimes it can be nice to bring your hands to the hips and notice your hip points, keeping them pointed towards the front of the room. Bend in that left knee. Feel into your stance here, noticing your feet rooted down to the mat. Let's take an inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And then exhale, bend the elbows, cactus arms. Come back to the breath. Notice if you're arching your back a little too much. See if you can keep a neutral spine as much as you can. You might find a little natural sort of arch in the spine, but not overdoing it. We don't want to reach back too much. Let's take an inhale, reach up. And then exhale, open out to a warrior two on this side. So opening out to a warrior two, my arms are nice and long. Think about reaching towards the front of the room while reaching towards the back of the room, but keep the elbows nice and soft. And so the left knee is in a line with the left ankle bone. Maybe you can find your gaze down the left middle finger. And then keeping that awareness on the left hand, turn the palm over so palm is facing up. Take an inhale to reach forward and then reverse this warrior. So the left arm goes up, right arm slides down the leg, or maybe perhaps supporting that sacrum area with the right hand. Feeling into the left side body, all the way down to the left hip flexor. And then maybe just finding your gaze down the right foot. Taking an inhale here. And then on your next exhale, slowly come back to warrior two. Nice, strong, steady, stable warrior two. Keeping that left arm right where it's at. We're going to windmill this right arm down, pivot the right foot. Inhale, reach up, come back to your warrior one. So coming back to your warrior one, take your time getting there. Let's take an inhale to reach up and then exhale, bend the elbows again for cactus arms. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, bring the hands behind you, interlace the fingers, start to reach down, kind of pulling the hands down towards your sit bones. And then we're going to come to that humble warrior again. So take an inhale here. And then exhale, slowly hinging from the hips, bringing your abdomen forward. Maybe bring that left shoulder to the left knee, using the top of the left leg as that little shelf again. And so from here, you can really kind of focus in on that left foot, maybe noticing the little muscles firing up, moving around, keeping you nice and strong here. Then on your next exhale, release the hands, place that right hand down towards the mat, root down through the hand, take an inhale, reach up to the left arm. So we're in this high runner's lunge, sort of a revolved twist. And so it's just starting to feel into this position here. Maybe you look down at the right hand, maybe up at the left arm. But again, if that left arm extended up is not jiving with you, feel free to wrap it behind the back. And just finding something that works for your body here. Noticing the breath, coming back to the breath. On your next exhale, set that left hand down towards the mat. Step the left foot back, downward facing dog. Let's take a moment here in our downward facing dog for a few breaths. Sometimes I like to even pedal out the feet again, inviting in some small, simple movements. And just really feeling into the breath and the body. And then feel free to come back to some stillness in your downward dog. Take both feet, stepping them out a little wider than your hips distance, maybe even towards the outer edges of the mat. Start to bend the knees pretty generously and then walk the hands back towards your body. Bend the knees. And then we're going to slowly roll up to a standing position, but really take this nice and slow. So one vertebrae by vertebrae, just think about moving nice and slow, rolling the spine all the way up, and allowing the head to be the last thing that comes up. Maybe roll the shoulders a few times, slowly coming to your standing position. And then we're going to make our way to a seated position. Start to bring the soles of the feet together. So finding a nice butterfly pose here. So bringing the soles of the feet together, feel free to keep the feet closer towards your sit bones, or maybe having the legs a little bit more out in front of you to a diamond shape. So finding a nice butterfly pose here. You might feel like you need to wiggle down into the hips a little bit. And then I like to just grab my feet here, just kind of wrapping my hands around my feet, but feel free to place the arms maybe perhaps out onto the knees, palms facing up, maybe bringing the middle fingers and thumbs together, closing the eyes down, sitting up nice and tall, bringing some space between the ears and the tops of the shoulders. So sometimes we want to scrunch up in the shoulders or hunch over forward. Keep that chest nice and open. Sitting up nice and tall, noticing the tailbone rooted down and kind of lengthening downwards, so it makes you sit up a little bit taller here. Maybe just meditating on any sensations that might be coming up in the body. So you might notice your legs are a little shaky. Maybe the hips are a little bit achy and sore. Maybe perhaps the hips are feeling a little bit better after some movement. And whatever it is that's coming up, invite all of the sensations and the thoughts, keeping the positive thoughts and any thoughts that might be coming up that are unserving to your body, to the mind. Gently push those aside. Allow yourself to just focus in on your breath. Little tiny details. Where are you feeling the breath? Are you breathing more in the belly, in the chest, or in the throat? And so when you find that your mind does want to wander, just know that that's totally normal. See if you can bring it back gently with your inhale. And just cultivating that slow, steady breath, using your long exhales. And so sometimes we tend to rush our breath, not really take our time with the breath. We don't use a full inhale or that full exhale. So don't cheat your body and mind. Allow yourself to really take in these nourishing, full, deep breaths. restoring some of that parasympathetic nervous system where it's the opposite of the fight or flight mode. So when we are put in certain difficult challenges, we can handle ourselves a little bit better. We can come back to the breath and we can use our breath as an anchor. We have all of these tools at our disposal, and just learning how to use them and incorporate them into our everyday life. So, mindful breathing and a mindful practice over time, building these small little habits can create a big effect, especially when we are put in these certain positions or circumstances, something that comes up that's out of the normal. Our body and our mind can respond appropriately. Taking another moment or two. And if your hands are in a mudra position, feel free to release from that position. Bring your hands behind you. Maybe you're floating the eyelids back open. And then start to slowly bring the knees together. We're going to place the feet a little wider than our hips. And then we're just going to windshield wiper the knees side to side. So again, feel free to take your time with this. So maybe at first you're just really feeling into that movement. Bringing your awareness to the hip socket. Inviting in some blood flow. We'll do this a few more times, side to side. And then whenever you're ready, we're going to slow things down. And then just meet me in an easy seat position. So just meeting in an easy seat position. To close out the practice, feel free to bring your arms out by your sides. Let's take an inhale, reach the arms up overhead. And exhale, bring palms together, hands to heart center. And thank you for practicing with me. I hope this was one that you have enjoyed. And I hope you have a peaceful day. Namaste.